งที่ไม่เหมาะสมอาจส่งผลกระทบตามมามากมายไม่ว่าจะเป็นพักผ่อนไม่เพียงพอน้ำหนักตัว
สวัสดีครับ Hello everyone. Welcome to our JAAT International Symposium entitled International Research Collaboration and How to Get Funded. And I would like to thank, first of all, I would like to thank you, JSPS Bangkok office, and also in NRCT to support our symposium. And also, I would like to thank you, all distinguished speakers to join this conference. Do you see my screen? And this conference, as I said, supported by JSPS and also in NRCT. And this is our agenda. First, I would like to invite Associate Professor Skanya M. Imtham, our acting president, to give a welcome remark. Professor Skanya, please.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. Nice to meet with you all. Now, the schedule is starting by my report. Is that right, Dr. Kitisak? Should I start now? Sorry for my delay, a little bit delay, okay? And okay, for 5 minutes, I just report. I am the acting president of JAAT, or Japan Alumni Association of Thailand, in Thai is so during the past few months, let's say a few months of my term, my acting term as president, because there had been a COVID-19, crisis, so the activity is not quite so often, but we did follow the regulation sometimes, like we had last meeting in January the 6th of this year, before the General Assembly today, and we had some conclusion that we cannot handle the on-site General Assembly meeting, but we finally we have arranged by the big assistance from the EC, namely Dr. Kitisak, Dr. Solapong, and Ajahn Pen, and some others that I could not name all, that we will organize the really meaningful assembly, General Assembly, as we had done before last 2 years, because last year we canceled. Okay, so the big report of mine is that we proudly present, the Blitz Fellowship nominating people, according to the COVID as well. So we have done it in very quick, very short term, and very effective. So we nominate 2 people, very effective and efficient people, from Chiang Mai University and from Kasetsat University. If I remember that because of the COVID, again, this is not an excuse, but it really happened, we couldn't organize the scientific manuscript writing that tends to be, published at Scopus or ISI level. It's too bad, but we will, as soon as the recovery of the COVID-19, we will organize this workshop. Because of our expert, the speaker, the one who have run the workshop, including Dr. Kitisak, have been waiting for a long time, to be on site. So, as an acting president, I am very pleased to. Can you hear me? Anyway. That always happen, after a long time speaking, nobody hear me. Nobody heard me. Okay, so I will collapse. I will try to conclude, my report, as the long term of appointing as acting, a president. So we wait to have the new election, the permanent president today by the vote, your vote from the member, JAAT member, who have been in this virtual meeting this afternoon. So good luck, everybody. This is my final report, and I've attend all time of the meeting today. Okay, so I give this back to Dr. Kittisak, who is moderator today. Thank you, Ka.
Thank you, Professor Sukanya, for the welcome remark. And next, I would like to invite Professor Dr. Yoshio Otani, Director of JSPS Bangkok office, to give an opening remark. He will give an opening remark via the video.
Good afternoon. I'm Yoshio Otani, Director of JSPS Bangkok office. On behalf of the Japan Society for the Promotion of Science, I'd like to express my sincere gratitude to the members of JSPS Alumni Association of Thailand for organizing the General Assembly and Academic Seminar. The theme of academic seminar today is international research collaboration and how to get funded. I really appreciate today's speakers, Dr. Ken Takahashi, Dr. Pongsakorn, Tantilipikorn, and Dr. Taro SONOBE for delivering lectures, which will definitely benefit JAAT members to get funded. After the breakout of the corona pandemic, many of alumni associations and the JSPS Bangkok office organize virtual events, but JAAT has been trying to seek the opportunity of on-site events. However, because of the breakout of the new Omicron strain, JAAT finally gave up the on-site event and had a virtual event today. As you know, JSPS Bangkok office was established in 1989 to develop academic networks between ASEAN region and Japan. We are supporting 6 alumni associations in Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, Nepal, and Bangladesh. When I came to Bangkok in October 2020, I thought I would be very busy leading 6 alumni associations to develop and sustain our networks. However, because of COVID-19, it has been very difficult to travel even in Thailand. And I had only limited number of chances to meet with JAAT members for the last 2 years. I wish we can meet physically very soon for discussing the research exchange and research collaboration between Thailand and Japan. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Otani Sensei, for giving an opening remark. Next will be an opening remark from Dr. Vipalat Diong, an Executive Director of NRCT, with the video.
Professor Dr. Yoshio Otani, Director of JSPS Bangkok Office, Associate Professor Dr. Sukanya Im Tham, Acting President of JSPS Alumni Association of Thailand, distinguished speaker and participants, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the National Research Council of Thailand, or NRCT, it's great pleasure and honor for me to preside over the opening ceremonies of the annual academic meeting of JSPS Alumni Association of Thailand. I would like to express my sincere appreciation to the Japan Society for the promotion of STI JSPS Bangkok office and JSPS Alumni Association of Thailand just for once again collaborating to organize this important event. The cooperation between our organization has achieved a strong performance and yield a very fruitful result through the proactive arrangements of joint academic meeting and their great contribution in building Japan and Thailand academic collaboration. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a growing recognition of the need for international research collaboration with the complex and rapidly changing problem that our world is facing today. International research collaborations have a great impact on the productivity of knowledge in every field. It fosters greatest creativity by encouraging researchers to share their experience, data, and methodologies, leading to finding beyond what one team could achieve. For this reason, we would say that international research collaboration is a real great researcher career boost. NRCT, as one of the national funding agency of Thailand, we attach great importance to supporting international research collaboration. We have a long relationship and collaboration with Japan through JSPS for over 40 years. Under our collaboration, we have agreed to provide the exchange of scientists and researchers, joint research program, joint seminars, and also co-supporting activities organized by JAAT, which have contributed to the advancement to scientific research and building up network among researchers and the development of research personnel, not only in number, but also in their capacity and quality. Therefore, the meeting topic today, international research collaboration and how to get funded, is very timely and extremely beneficial to researchers who wish to expand their research internationally and seek funding to support their projects. We have Japanese senior expert, Professor Ken Takahashi and Dr. SONOBE Taro, who are specialists in the international research field, and also Thai senior expert, Associate Professor Dr. Pongsakorn, Tantilipikorn, who are specialists in Thailand policies of research and development, delivering interesting keynote. Ladies and gentlemen, academic meetings such as this provide a valuable opportunity for researchers to gain knowledge and experience for our senior professionals. I'm truly confident that all of you will receive useful knowledge from this meeting to enhance your research internationally. I would like to take this opportunity to express my sincere good wish for the success of the meeting, and I look forward to hearing the success of your research collaboration. Thank you. Professor.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vipalati, Executive Director of NRCT. Next, I'd like to invite everyone to open your camera to take a group picture, please. Please turn on your camera and we will take a snapshot for everyone. Ready? Ready? Smile, please. Take up while 3 pages. Okay, thank you so much. So we'll now start our scientific program. Okay. So our first speaker, we are so honored to have Professor Ken Takahashi from University of Western Australia and University of Occupational and Environmental Health, Japan. Professor Takahashi is currently an honorary international advisor of Asbestos Disease Research Institute in Australia. And he also a former director of ADRI. And he also has several collaborations with international researchers around the world. And he is a key person to make an ADRI as the world's first WHO collaborating center for the elimination of asbestos-related diseases. And he's also inaugural head of the WHOCC. And he has several positions, leading position around the world. And also he got a lot of awards, international awards from several organizations. So today we are so honored to have Professor Takahashi to give a speech and a talk on international research collaboration. What are the keys to success? Professor Takahashi, please. You can now share your slide.
Okay.
And after his talk, we will have some Q&A. Thank you, Professor.
Okay, thank you, Professor Kitisak. Yeah, I will try to share my slide with you. I hope this is working because this is not a recording. It is a real time.
Yeah, it's real time.
Wait. Yeah, I think I'm getting it. Yeah, I think I got it. And can you hear me well?
Yes, we see you.
I can hear you well.
Okay, thank you. And first, let me thank JSPS, Bangkok office, JAAT, and the NRCT. And of course, my personal thanks to Professor Kitisak. Actually, I'm used to calling him Kitty, so I may use that. I hope there is no offense in calling you Kitty. But okay, today I'm going to talk about international collaborative research. I heard many people using the word international research collaboration. Obviously, it's the same thing, but because I prepared my slide as international collaborative research, I'll be using the acronym ICR. And so a simple definition, let's start with that. And that's when, of course, research is where the primary affiliation of researchers are different countries. But I have the title disclaimer for this slide because when we talk about ICR, we have to realize that this is only just one form, one subcategory of collaborative research. So collaboration is not only about international research, it can also cut across different institutions, organizations, also disciplines, such as in the case where we say the research is interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary. It may also involve various stakeholders. Stakeholders is, I think, a very important concept in research collaboration, because increasingly we have to involve many different types of stakeholders. Sometimes we even conduct research between researchers and students. And we have a word for that, mentor-mentee collaboration. And on the bottom, I have this academia industry collaboration. I don't think I will talk about it today, but it is very important, and I think it constitutes.
Takahashi Sensei, sorry to interrupt you. We lost your slides. Can you please stop sharing and share it again?
Oh, let's see how I can do that, because you see my I don't know my.
Can you do that?
Actually, we can see your slides.
Oh, can you?
Yes, Kita-san, no problem.
Oh, okay, sorry, but I cannot see.
Maybe you have slide problem, right?
Sorry about that. So I'm sorry.
Are you seeing my slide? Okay. You're not seeing my.
I cannot see your slide.
Cheating paper, right? Are you seeing my cheating paper?
We also see your pointer as well, and your slide as well.
So you're seeing this pointer.
Yep.
Are you?
We do.
Yeah.
Okay.
We see this.
Okay. So, and now you have the next slide.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. We do.
So my talk will cover these points, although it may be in random order. And so I will first set the stage by sharing my personal profile, because I think it is helpful to give you my perspective based on my experience. I think international ICR is very context specific. And in doing so, I will talk about my project that I coordinated. In fact, it's a JSPS funded project called the Asian Asbestos Initiative, acronym AAI. And I will show my publications, not to show off, of course, but because they are the output of international collaborative research, ICR. And as researchers, we also have to learn from other researchers. It's not good just to talk about yourself. And I highlighted conclusion because I'm already going to share one of my conclusions, which is this. I don't know if any of you recognize this figure here. It's borrowed from CNN. And so I think ICR is all about making connections. So I hope you can pick up your clues based on my talk, how to make connections to do good ICR. Okay, my personal profile. From the year 2000 to 2016, I was a professor of environmental epidemiology at UOEH, Japan. And I also was heading the WHO Collaborating Center for Occupational Health at that time. Now, during this period, decade and a half, I had the pleasure of having international staff in my team. And in addition to Japanese researchers, of course, in my department, it's a small department, almost like a small group, research group. Now, I'm sure you recognize this face here. So at that time, I believe Kitty was under a scholarship, Ronpaku scholarship, to work with me. And we had the pleasure of having important guests from Thailand. These are the administrators at the Ministry of Public Health, Thailand. Now, after that, I went to Sydney, Australia to direct the Asbestos Disease Research Institute. And of course, being in Sydney, my staff was international. By the way, the persons in the middle, they are not my staff. They are the governors of the state of New South Wales. The lady is the governor and her husband. And I also had the opportunity to lead ADRI to become the world's first WHO collaborating center, this time for the elimination of asbestos-related disease. So what I wanted to say is that, yes, I was fortunate. I was fortunate to be in this kind of environment, but for the purpose of this talk, I want to emphasize that I was constantly seeking opportunities to be international and act internationally. Okay. Okay, so what is the AAI? What I have here is that it says that it's an international collaborative effort aimed at the prevention and elimination of asbestos-related diseases. And so I really take pride. I consider this to be a landmark project of my entire career, which is almost approaching to the end. And but I chose this theme, the Asian asbestos, because around the time of 2008, that was when this project started, Japanese researchers, at least my colleagues, some of them were becoming interested in the theme of asbestos, but they were not necessarily interested in the international dimension of asbestos. And that was my focus. And as you can see in the middle column, it was funded by JSPS, specifically the Asia-Africa Science Platform. Now, it covers a period of 7 years, but actually it's 2 terms, because one term of JSPS funding under this category is for 3 years. Now, there was a blank year, 2011, we didn't have any funding. I applied for many research grants, including JSPS, but they were rejected, unfortunately. And so I had to apply again. Then this time it succeeded. This time it was the JSPS Core to Core program. One thing you can say is that in international collaborative research, persistence definitely is an important factor. And so just to emphasize the 3 dimensions that led to successful collaboration, number 1 is that the seminar hosts rotated among participating countries. And so the funds were combined. It was not only JSPS, the hosting countries, including Thailand, they covered the expenses when they were hosting the seminar. By the way, seminar was an important element of the fund. And the third point, and I'm most proud of it, is that we got good recognition. UN organizations were engaged in this project, and I think that improved our chances to expand the connection, so to speak. Okay, so let's think of the possible keys to successful ICR, International Collaborative Research. First, niche. And it's important to find your own niche. So in my case, it was not asbestos per se, but asbestos in the international context. And let's jump to the last point, which is recognition. And as I said in my previous slide, that led to recognition, in my case, from the UN organizations. And for ICR, it is a huge advantage if you identify your own niche, and as a result of that, you acquire recognition for it. And for the other points, practice, diversity, inclusiveness, complementarity, communication, transparency, I would like to explain as we proceed with the slides. And let's, I would appreciate if you can agree with me that these concepts, each of the concepts are in fact keys to success. Okay, so this slide shows what the AAI project emphasized. And oh, by the way, is my slide covered with this menu here? Maybe. But I don't know how to get rid of it. So I might just leave it there. I might just leave it there. So these are shareable, transferable technologies for eliminating asbestos-related disease. And what I wanted to stress here is that the project was very much practice oriented. Practice is a key word. Because research and practice, they were brought together closely. And that was done by intention. And another word for practice is application, right? And I think funding organizations, including JSPS and NRCT, they are increasingly expecting research to be a means for practice or application. We have to be aware of those expectations. And also from a collaboration standpoint, it is beneficial to be aware of this link between research and practice, because combining research with practice will, on the other hand, promote collaboration. So I hope you would agree to take practice as an important key for ICR. And so for AI, and I'm not going into specifics because I know most of you are not interested in ARDs, but what I wanted to emphasize with this slide is that practice for this project had a wide scope. So it covered the areas of industrial hygiene. This is not necessarily my expertise. It covered clinical practice. This is not, unlike Professor Kitisak, who is the professor of medicine, this is not my area either. I'm a medical doctor, but I'm an epidemiologist by training. Social science, as you know, is a very wide field of expertise. And so these technologies, it was very wide scope. And so the broad spectrum of expertise, in other words, it was diverse. And I did not hesitate to be inclusive, to collaborate with people of diverse technical background. Although, at first I wasn't acquainted with many of these people. So industrial hygiene is in blue, clinical in red, social is in green. So it had a very wide scopus. Now, in hindsight, and this is an admission on my part, I don't think I was inclusive enough, maybe modestly inclusive. For example, I did invite NGOs, but we didn't have representatives from patients or the discipline of humanities and or lawyers. Lawyers are, in fact, a very important stakeholder in asbestos-related disease, or economists. And so if I were to do this project all over again, which I'm sure I won't, but if I am given the opportunity, then these are the people that I want to include. So there's much to learn from, I do think there's much to learn from these people. And I need to keep this in mind from the standpoint of ICR. And I hope you would agree. I hope you would agree to take diversity and inclusiveness, even though I didn't get a full mark for this. They do come together, diversity and inclusiveness, and they are important for ICR. Okay, another slide to emphasize the importance of practice. And so the outcome of collaborative research has to be applicable to practice. And this is how we did it. We developed a DVD for technology training. We also developed a toolkit and we were fortunate to receive good recognition. I don't know what JSPS thought of this. We rarely get feedback from them. I'm not complaining, but we did get good recognition from UN organizations such as the UNEP. This is the United Nations Environmental Program, and we also were fortunate to receive funding from the WHO. And it's totally a different project. It's an occupational safety and health project in Vietnam. So it's a kind of a spin-off activity and additional funding from a separate source. So when you combine practice, I think there are good things waiting for you. Okay, and speaking of spin-off effects, I also made the effort to combine the AI project with the WHO Collaborating Center activity. I remember that I was heading the WHOCC at the time. So the AI was ultimately recognized also as a WHOCC success story. And I think you can call this piggybacking or integration of separate activities. And so we aimed at creating synergy between two different independent activities. One is a research project funded by JSPS, and the other is an activity as a WHO Collaborating Center. And of course, this is easier said than done. Because it does require good coordination, starting from the planning stage to implementation and the after assessment. Because we're talking about two separate activities. But I think the reality is that one is often limited by resources. So it's necessary to combine different activities to create synergy. So complementarity, this is another key. I hope you would agree to a successful ICR. Okay, and as researchers, we are assessed by publications, right? Publish or perish. That's a serious fact of life for us. And here are the papers related to AI. But my point is to stress the aspect of international. Huh? Is it okay? So next to the authors, the title of the paper and the journal and the publication year, I have the number of authors, I have the number of countries, and in our case, if a UN organization was involved, that was also counted similar to countries and highly related to AI, the project. So for example, the first one, the author, he's Vietnamese, but he was in my department as a postgrad student, so I didn't count as a separate country. So Japan, Finland. She is from Mongolia, but again, she was working in my department. So Japan, and then People's Republic of China and USA. So I had 4 countries represented in the authorship, if I count conservatively. And as you can see from the title, National Use of Asbestos in Relation to Economic Development, this was directly related to AI. And okay, and then I said that this project was continued for 7 years with 1 year in between, a blank year. But it covered a long period, 7 years, and we managed to keep pace in terms of both the project activity as well as the publication. And when you have a project lasting for 7 years, which turned out to be 7 years, I think the key is well, you have the chance to develop new connections, that's for sure. But you have to maintain that connection, sustain the connection. And I believe that the key to maintaining long-term connections, such as this case, is communication. And communication is indeed a critical factor for ICR. So let's click communication on the list. By the way, the bottom 2 research papers, they were an invitation from Professor Kirisak. And this is not directly related to to AAI. But it does show that opportunities arise when you are collaborating with Kitty on a different project, AAI, but Kitty thinks that he wants to collaborate with me on his research project. So you see, it has a sort of a positive feedback loop when you engage in international collaborative research. Okay, so we tick, I think, I hope you agreed with me in ticking these boxes, that these are the keys to a successful ICR. Now, I wanted to summarize this in terms of my learned lessons. So the niche. And niche is not only about your theme or your expertise, but it's also about your strength. And you have to identify your strength and capitalize on them. And in the case of AI, I found my place, my niche in the intersection of asbestos and international. Okay, number two, combining research with practice. I think I already emphasized that. But I will say it again. Some research grants will place great emphasis on the intersection between research and practice or application. And you have to look for those if you're interested or if you want to put more emphasis on practice. And as I said, that increases the possibility of collaborative research. Now, number three is to find the right colleagues to collaborate. And my lesson was to emphasize diversity. I remember I didn't get full mark for that, but it's helpful because it complements. When you have a diverse team, you tend to complement for your weaknesses. And number four is to nurture the relationship. And I mentioned the importance of communication. So you have to be a good communicator. My policy for communication is to be as transparent as possible. Another way of saying it is honesty, I believe. Okay, commit long-term, and we have to continue challenging. Admittedly, we have many more failures than successes. We just have to expect many failures, but we shouldn't give up. Although when we feel down, we want to, but you know, I keep telling myself to be resilient. And when you are resilient, I think chances improve that you get recognition. You hang in there for a long time as much as possible. Okay, now that was my personal experience. I have to delve into the literature. And I left out a fundamental question, which is here. Why do we need to do international collaborative research? And I found this on the web. You can find it too. And it's downloadable. And it specifically raises the question, why should we do international collaborative research in the first place? Now, I don't have time to mention all the points, but for example, the first one, enhanced external validity. I think this makes sense because when you're doing international collaborative research, it means you're teaming up with a person from another country. So when you produce findings, your findings can extend to other populations, right? That the other researcher from another country represents. And so these are all reasons for doing international collaborative research. I think they make very good sense. And let's see. And but because they are mentioned by another person or another organization, I wanted to add my own perspective regarding what is the reason for doing ICR. And for me, I do ICR because I want to contribute to solving global dimensions of a problem. And my advice, if it's okay to say it that way, I hope I don't sound arrogant, but at least I think I'm older than most of you. So allow me to say that. Whatever your research theme, I think there's a global dimension to it. And so it's important to identify that global dimension of your research theme and devote your time and effort into that. And then you will have a good chance of doing good ICR. Okay, another Nature paper wrote about how to catalyze or promote collaborative research. And first off, it admits that interdisciplinary collaboration, that's another type of collaborative research. It says it's still on the margin, essentially saying it's not easy. Interdisciplinary collaboration is easily said, but difficult to do. But of course, they give recommendations. The authors give recognitions. And I highlighted the word practice because we already covered this. Bridging research and practice. I think that's very important to promote collaborative research. Now, but everyone is constrained by limits, right? And because we cannot be Superman or Superwoman. And so what we should aspire for is to become a T-shaped researcher. That's what the author says. And as you know, a T-shaped person or a T-shaped researcher, just imagine the word T, the character T, and there's a horizontal component on the top and a vertical component on the top, on the bottom. And the vertical component, of course, is the depth, to be an expert in one thing. But the horizontal element is to be curious, to be knowledgeable about other things. So, and that's the definition of a T-shaped person or T-shaped researcher. And so, to summarize, the message here is to be an expert in one thing. That's needed, absolutely needed to get recognition. But and that's to find your thing. But we also have to have a wide base for other things. Be curious about what's happening in the world or what's happening in the broader area of research. In other words, it's the opposite of being narrow-minded. We shouldn't be the mad scientist. We should have a balance, but also be an expert on one thing, but have a broad curiosity for other things. I think that improves the chances of ICR. Okay, and another tip that I can mention is, as researchers, we should be aware, we should be conscious of how our expertise may be relevant to major international events. In my case, it was the SARS epidemic in 2003 or 4. And it was also the Fukushima nuclear power plant disaster. And when you are, and collaborations, when you are aware of these major international events, by the way, we are seeing the COVID is an exact example for that. And I think many people are finding opportunities for collaborative research on that topic. Now, I just want to show the interesting combination of researchers for the comparative assessment of major international disasters. I said, so my involvement was through the Fukushima nuclear disaster, but the lead author was leading a research on the World Trade Center disaster. And it's interesting to note that researchers from Ukraine, Russia, and Belarus were involved at that time because they had their own experience with the Chernobyl disaster. That was the major event, and that provided an opportunity for researchers to get together. And I think I just thought that it's an important example to look at a time of geopolitical uncertainty. But I think researchers should be like this. Okay, I don't think I will have time to explain this, but there's another document in downloadable from the web that questions, does culture matter for international collaborative research? And of course, the obvious answer is yes, it does matter. We have to communicate in a common language that's usually English, but even when we use English, there is a difference in terminology and nuance. And so the authors of this brochure actually discuss several points that culture will create, cultural differences will create obstacles in doing ICR. Yeah, but I have to move ahead. Okay, so I show this just as a reminder because seizing opportunities like major international events is good. I recommend it, but researchers have to behave ethically when it comes to authorship. And so all collaborators in the team must adhere to ethical guidelines on authorship. And sometimes it's good to revisit this kind of protocol and remind ourselves, especially in a mixed group representing different countries. That means they represent different cultures. And very often authorship will become an issue among the researchers. But we do have a common protocol that everyone can adhere to. Okay, I am part of the Global Burden of Disease study. And the GBD project, my understanding is that it's it engages 7,000 researchers. It's a huge global research enterprise. And it's funded by the Gates Foundation, so it is well funded. And of course, I contribute only when the paper has anything to do with asbestos or asbestos-related disease. And I am rewarded when I with co-authorship in prestigious journals, but of course, fulfilling the authorship criteria. And I brought up this example because this was not an invitation. I wasn't sitting there and all of a sudden I get the invitation from a prestigious team. No, I didn't have any prior connection in that regard. It was an application, and I made the effort to seize the opportunity to make the connection. And this is how it happened. I found a call for collaborators in the Lancet journal, and I applied. So I waved my flag. I applied to this call to make the connection. And this was a lesson that I learned when I was a postgraduate student from my mentor. He said, if you want to be recognized, it's not enough to just to work hard. You have to wave your flag. And this advice stuck in my mind. So I think this advice is relevant very much to ICR. Wave your flag to make a new connection. Okay, I have to be very quick because I know I have only 5 minutes more. So this is a recent Nature article. It also talked about collaborative research. Now, it has a very interesting way of saying it, standing on the shoulder of crowds, meaning that there are great values and benefits in collaborative research, including ICR. But at the same time, look here, it recognizes that collaborative research is still in its infant stage, right? It says there's still some way to travel. Yeah, but if you seize the opportunity for collaborative research, then there must be rewards. And this is a recent paper. Now, another BMJ paper, actually, it introduces the Thai model for collaborative research. And, but I will leave it to you for further reading. Okay, and for those who really want to learn more about collaborative research, including international collaborative research, there is even an online course run by the prestigious Nature group. I was surprised to find this when I was preparing for this presentation. Okay, so we ticked many boxes, the keys to international collaborative research or successful international collaborative research. I hope you agreed with some of the keys that I mentioned, my lessons learned. But maybe there were too many. And when there's too many, it's just difficult to remember what was the important key. So I'll just choose one as my final take-home message. And as I said, it's a clip I stole from CNN.
Business is all about making connections.
Okay, so CNN said business is all about making connections. And I stole it because I wanted to rephrase this. Collaborative research is all about making connections. And that's it from me. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you so much, Takahashi Sensei, for giving us and sharing us your, I would say, very successful ICR. And as a student, I would say that Takahashi Sensei has a deep passion to assist developing nations towards the goal of eliminating asbestos-related diseases. And I think we have some times for Q&A. Anyone would like to ask our leading successor in ICR, you can turn on your mic and ask or type in the chat. While waiting, okay. Dr. Skanya, please.
Thank you for your very truthful speaking. According to my experience, I'm not sure whether this will match with your keynote or not. But my experience is that we have a colleague who worked, Dr. Gidesak know him very well, Professor Dr. Narong Kantikeo,นะคะ. He have been working for years, about the liver fluke-free prevention, liver fluke-free, the cancer that come from eating raw fish. So that is a good example for his practice, that he invites some social science. I come from social science. I'm working as a chair of PhD program in public administration, which is quite different from liver fluke-free program, But anyway, he and his team work together quite well, because of this is just sharing my idea, because I never been working with some other discipline before, but my colleague did. For social scientists, he can make good connection with try to tell the villager not to eat raw fish, excluding Japanese raw fish. Okay, this is different. This is come from fresh water, and in some species only, in some very tiny species. But this is very popular, favorite food among the Northeastern people. Isan, we call Isan people, So he tried to change their culture of eating, which is not easy, and is even more difficult for Professor Dr. Narong in terms of he is doctor of medicine, So he shared the experience with our social science from my department, and it's quite successful. I think I follow that. This is just sharing my experience with you guys, who registered to be in the virtual meeting today นะคะก็จะมีแบบนี้แหละค่ะคือนึกไม่ออกว่าลิเวอร์ฟลุกฟรีจะมายุ่งกับโซเชียลไซด์ได้ไงแต่มีนะคะเวิร์กกับอาจารย์ที่สอน policy เรื่องวัฒนธรรมด้วย about the culture of eating not having a habit of eating raw fish in Isan region and it work better than just work alone by himself or by medical science only or aloneค่ะ this is my sharing not really Q&A thank you
Thank you, Dr. Skanya, for sharing kind of multidisciplinary approach of the research too. Okay, I think it's time for the end of Sensei's talk, and as his student, I would like to say thank you so much for giving us this talk on your talk, and I'm so proud to be your student, and you can call me Kitty always.
Kitty.
Thank you, Kitty.
Thank you so much. All right, so our association would like to give you a certificate of the talk, and I email you again. For those people who would like to ask Sensei's question, I will email you Taki Sensei's email. Hope you don't mind. Sensei, are you okay with that? Because we have so limited time.
No problem at all, Kitty.
All right, thank you so much. So we move to the next talk. It's about Thailand policy of research and development. Will be given by Associate Professor Dr.Pongsakorn Tantilipikorn. Sorry if I'm pronounce your last name wrong. He's Director of Strategy Agenda Team, SAT of Biomedical, Thailand Science Research and Innovation, TSRI, and he also the Assistant President for Research and Academic Affairs of Mahidol University. He actually has a lot of positions, national level and international level. I would like to invite Professor Pongsakorn to give a talk, please.
Thank you very much, Ajahn Kittisak. So, dear participant and Mr. Chairperson, Professor Sukanya, Professor Kittisak, and Professor Takahashi, it's my privilege to be here, and I would like to thank the NRCT for the invitation. So just for the checking, can you see my slide and hear me well, right?
Yes, very well.
So for half an hour, I would like to share with you about the national policy and the strategic plan of the research innovation, especially in the economic-driven model. So as Jakiti's introduction, I'm a medical doctor as well. I'm the ear, nose, and throat doctor, and mainly focused on the allergy. And I would like to express my agreement with Professor Takahashi for a few minutes ago about I call it translational research, and Professor Takahashi said it's the practice research to practice, and my involvement as the assistant president in Mahidol University, and also the TSRI, Thailand Science Research and Innovation, or in Thai language it's called SONOBE, and also the International Board Committee with the National Research Council of Thailand, or Warsaw, and also we now have the Program Management Unit in Competitiveness, the board of the Global Research Partnership Committee, and is a good opportunity to share with you about the national policy, like Professor Takashi's lecture a few minutes ago, and you can see about our national direction, and you can adapt your research protocol to align with the national policy that will increase the chance of getting your fund. And also my content of the presentation will be the national strategy and the flagship program of the national at this moment. And it will relate it to the national agenda Wara Heng Chat as a BCG economic model. And also I will conclude my talk with the international collaboration mechanism that you can get some benefit. So my background is, as I told you a few minutes ago, I'm a medical doctor in the allergy. So the international collaboration and the support from our dean is very important. And also as a medical doctor, as an ear, nose, and throat, we work very well with another discipline. I'm totally agree with Professor Takahashi that the multidisciplinary research is very important. And also besides as a medical doctor, we work with our immunologists as well. So for just for the example, for discussion, we have the international world-class collaboration with the professor in immunology and the allergy, and also allergy as the in Thai language, Lok Pumpa, involvement with the global warming and also a lot of pollution. So like Professor Sukanya just said, not only treat or invent the new product for the patient. The advice for the patient to have the lifestyle and adaptation to the suitable environment is very important as well. So to become another role of mine besides the involvement with the SONOBE or TSRI, so I'm a director of the World Organization of the Allergy, or WHO, the World Allergy Organization. That is the involvement, like I said to you, the clinical care through the educational research and the training. So at this moment in this region, there is only 4 World Allergy Organization Center of the Excellence in this region. The first one is in Japan, in China, and in Korea, and in STI is we just recognized as the Center of the Excellence in the WHO Center of Excellence. So the objective to become certified as the WHO Center of the Excellence is to collaboration at the educational program and give the scientific support and also the mentorship. Like Professor Takahashi just says to you ago, not only the seminar, but the long-term relationship and also the transparency relationship with the international professor is very important. And this is our proud that our Center of the Excellence in Allergy, in Immunology, just recognized as the World Allergy Organization a few months ago. So the content of my talk, and I showed to you this slide. This is the first key slide about our national policy. As you can see that because of we have the budget in Thai language called Gong Thun Wawanor. So the new minister of the higher education and minister of science, we combine to get the minister of the higher education and science and innovation. So we use the budget of Gong Thun Wawanor to deploy the policy of the national policy. So the first direction is go into the strategic fund that called the SF fund, into the program management unit, into the 7 program management unit. The first one is the NRCT. You all aware about the importance of the Warsaw, and another 6 is the NIA, HHI, SONOBE, and PMU, BPK, and BPT, and also in the agricultural is SONOBE. And there is 2 new of the program management unit. Is called National Vaccine Institute, and also the last one is the Thailand Center of Excellence in Life Science, or the T-cell. Another direction of the granting from the national budget in research is go directly into the university or some institution like it's NASDA or SONOBE. This is the according to the function and the proportion of the strategic fund is around 60 to 70%, and the proportion of the functional fund is around 30 or 40% of the national budget, annual budget of the research fund. So you can see that more and more we try to allocate budget in the strategic way. That is the first message. And the PMU, like I talked to you earlier, the most important one, like in this, the host in this today is the NRCT, and we have the NIA, SSRI involved with the health, agricultural, T-cell, PMU A, area-based, PMU B, that is stand for brain from the manpower. This is another important that I will touch about the how to increase the high skilled workforce, and the PMUC stand for the competitiveness, and the last one is the NIA about involvement with the vaccine. This is our existing strategy that will end this year. You can see that most of the researchers familiar with the 4 platform and 17 program. The first one is involved with the human resource. The second one is the social challenge. The third one is competitiveness, and the fourth one, the inequality. And the example for the first strategy is the AI, the frontier research. If you would like to get your ranking of the university, you apply for this platform to increase the ranking of the university and going to the publish in the Q1 and Q2 the journal. The second one is social challenge. For instance, we approaching the aging society like in Japan as well. And the third one is the competitiveness, is the BCG model that I will focus on this issue as well. And the last one is the inequality. Example is the smart and the livable city. But for the next year, the strategy of science, research, and innovation, we adapt it and revise it according to the national strategy. So in summary, the first tiers of the national strategy, that is a Yuddhasacha. And the second tier is this one. This is the national economy and the social development. That plan, that is in Thai language, it's called the Pan Patana Chat. This is the 13th version of the national economy and social development. So our third tier of the strategy for research and innovation, this is the Pan Wawano. This is the third tier. That each tier, the strategy has to be aligned and get direction of the funding. So the new way of the strategic fund, that is the 4 strategy. The first one involved with the economy with the value added and creative economy for competitiveness. The second strategy involved with the society and environment. The third one is the future readiness, and the last one is the manpower. I will elaborate on each strategy. The first strategy is like I told you, the value add and creative economy. The example of the program in this strategy, like the vaccine, not only the COVID vaccine, but involved with the emerging infectious disease or the EID. Another flagship program involved with the so-called advanced therapy medicinal product, or the ATMP, involved with the biosimilar, or in Thai language called Sanchiwawatu, and also the medical device Keungmupat. And the third flagship program is the functional ingredient and the functional food. And the regular program in this strategy, like a BCG in healthcare, agricultural, energy, material, digital and AI, logistic, electronic vehicle, and also the innovation-driven enterprise. But we not focus only on the economic add value, but the strategy of the science, research, and innovation. We care about the societal and environmental for the sustainable development according to the United Nations SDG as well. For the flagship program, that is in the second strategy, is the capability and opportunity of self-reliance. The regular program example is the aging society, health security, low carbon society, and the national disaster and the climate change. You can see that we are trying to align the national strategy of research according to the UN SDG as well. The third one of the budgeting in strategic research involved with the advanced and frontier science. We focus not only science, but we have a budget for the social science, humanity, and arts and cultural as well. And the last one is the manpower. This is the foundation of the first, the second, and the strategy as well. Because of the good researcher and high-skilled workforce is very essential to deliver the project and the program. And stress in this term, that is the international network that we are here today. So the extra program involved with the national crisis. Just for the example, when we have the strategy, we should have the so-called the KPI, or at this moment we use the OKR, Objective Key Results. This is the example if we would like to focus on the infectious vaccine and also the biologics and the medical device. So the budget will align with the goals of the realistic goal and achievable goal for each one. And this is my second key slide as the budget allocator to the program management unit or the granting agency in this moment in Thai. So we talk with each granting agency and we coordinate the role of each granting agency. This is the example slide. If we would like to focus on the BCG, Biocircular and Green for Healthcare, and this is the flagship project that I talked to you, like COVID vaccine, ATMP and medical device, genomic and precision medicine, and herbal extract and herbal medicine. So we would have to concern about the demand needed research as well. So before we grant on each project, the researcher should propose what is the research impact pathway, like Professor Takahashi just mentioned to you a few minutes ago. And not only the market in private demand, but the public demand is another concern for the Thai strategy as well, because of we have to admit that not everybody in Thai have financial well enough to afford for the very high value, but if we would like to know about how much reimbursement of the health product or the service, so we should talk with the Ministry of the Public Health and we should determine the public demand on how much willing to pay or reimbursement for the patient, and then the grant. And the role of the NRCT involved with the early stage or the early technology readiness level or the early TRL in the research and discovery. The PMUB, that is the หน่วยบริหารจัดการทุนเพื่อพัฒนาขีดความสามารถคน or BKK, is involved with the have grant the fundamental research or basic style research inadequate enough to transform the translational or like Professor Takahashi just says, application to practice into the middle stream, that is the preclinical and the clinical. And the role of the PMUC and also the HHR and so we're also involved in this stage. And the last stage, again, like Professor Takahashi just says, the engagement with the private sector. The T-cell agency will taking part of the late state of the TRL. That is if the product has improved proven concept from the clinical trial and get approval from the Thai FDA involved with how to engage the private sector to invest in this product or project. So this is a slide. This is an example, and this slide, the example also shows you about our OKR of the flagship in the biomedical science. The second part of my talk, I will show you about the direction of the national agenda or Wara Hengchat of the BCG model. So we believe that the BCG model is maybe another solution to help the Thai to overcome the so-called the middle income trap. The B stands for bioeconomy, C stands for the circular economy, and the G stands for the green economy. So because my background as a medical doctor and medical researcher, I will use the example of the medical and wellness as an example to show you about the BCG model. In BCG model, in the medical and wellness involved with the medicine and vaccine, the past dean of JAAT, Prof. Tantilipikorn is the director in this area, and the medical device, the ex-director of the JASTIP, Prof. Tachayapong is the director in the medical device. And this is the timeline of the BCG. So the first timeline of the BCG is the gathering the national database, improvement of the law and regulation. And the second phase involved with the targeted product because of like I said, the budget, national budget, we cannot strategic. We have to be strategic to focus in some area and to concern about what is the market demand. And international collaboration is very important as well. This is an example about the chairperson of each subcommittee. So the BCG involved with the agricultural, food, drug and vaccine, medical device, energy, travel, and the creative economy and circular economy, biodiversity, innovation, law, and also the human development. So just for the example in the medical device, even though there's a lot of the innovator in medical science and biomedical try to invent the medical device, but the issue to overcome the obstacle to go into the market is what we call the technology adoption. So each committee has a subcommittee to tackle not only the research and development, but also in the standardization platform and also the reimbursement mechanism in Thai government to help the opportunity of the private sector to engagement with the medical device as well. And this is the example of how to prioritize criteria of the medical device, like feasibility, the competency of Thai researcher, the readiness of the technology, and what is the market feasibility, and the concern about the intellectual property. So this is so if you would like to get the grant, granting in your proposal, you have to think about the market demand as well. And also we concerned about the future direction in the medicine as well, like the cell therapy and the gene therapy, like gene therapy and cell and tissue and the combine. So we have to develop platform to suitable for the Thai population. And the last part in my existing 5 minutes. So you can see that we have the strategy, we have the budget, we have the strategy for the economic competitiveness, we have the strategy for the health security, but the foundation of each strategy is to human resource and development. So we have the program to help the international collaboration, that is the Global Partnership Program. And the program, the management unit or the granting agency that is the responsible for the global partnership is PMUB, PMUC, and also NRCT. So some of you may familiar with the terms of global or the Thailand Research Fund. So the Thailand Research Fund are not existing anymore because of the TRF, Thailand Research Fund, transformed into the TSRI, that is the budget allocator, like I mentioned to you. So the TSRI collaborate with each PMU, again with the NRCT. So the budget of the granting, especially in the international collaboration, we go into the NRCT or the PMUB and PMUC. So the past experience of my prior experience as an assistant director in the TRF, one program that I'm responsible is the Asia, that is the collaboration between the Japan and also the 10 countries. And also that is the joint research to the co-funding. And another experience that I'm responsible for is called the International Research Network, or the NRIN from the SONOBE. That is the, like Professor Takahashi just said, so big grant, if the researcher have the international collaboration, have the co-publication, have the plan to produce the MSc or the PhD student, and going to the seminar and into the responsible for the guideline change. But at this moment, the national strategy for helping in the international collaboration, and especially in the human development program, we call the hub of talent and the hub of knowledge. And the chairperson of this program is the Dr. Viparat, that you saw her video a few minutes ago, and luckily enough to be one of the board member involved with the hub of talent and hub of knowledge. So what is the hub of talent and knowledge? So the meaning of hub of talent and hub of knowledge is based on the discipline, not only the center or specific university. So there will be no more grant for the center of the excellence in some particular university. But if if you can collaborate with your friend in your same discipline, with another university of Thailand, and that is the good start to become the hub of talent and hub of knowledge. And if your discipline involved with the multi-specialty, like Professor Takahashi or myself just said to you, you can help the good chance to get the grant, to get the international collaboration. And another work from the SONOBE or TSRI is involvement with the help the collaboration with the G2G. So we review our database of existing international network organization, and we focus on which area is the good for the technology transfer model, because we believe that the international collaboration will help to get the research to practice, like Professor Takahashi just said. And this is the example about the framework of the research and innovation with international of the NRCT. And for the specific examples for the specific area in the Thai and the Japan, because we are here as the JSPS and JAAT. The first one is the AI technology, the biotechnology, quantum technology, environmental and energy, and the agricultural. This is the example that we try to align the program that is a common interest between Thai and the Japan. And the last issue is about the budget. So the budget, like I said to you, will deliver to the PMU C, PMU B, and also the NRCT. The previous budget per annum is around 200 to 400 million Thai baht. So this is my last slide. So my presentation involved show to you about the national strategy of the research innovation, about the 4 strategy, and the role of the program management unit, include the NRCT, and the meaning of the strategic fund and the functional fund, and you can adapt your research proposal to align with the national agenda, like a BCG economic model, and the hub of partnership and the hub of talent is the foundation as to increase the high skill workforce. And I would like to thank JSPS and JAT and NRCT for the invitation to share with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Pongsakorn, for sharing us the platform for grant application. Any question? I think we have a question from audience.
Yep, I did share my PowerPoint handout to คุณขวัญสิริ of the Warsaw NRCT เรียบร้อยครับอาจารย์ครับ
I'll email you guys again. And I have a question from audience that do you have the platform specifically for the social science international collaboration?
Yeah, the terminology of science as the Kasuang Award, the Messi Minister involvement, the science stand not only for the pure science or the applied science, but include with the social science as well. And you can recognize that our Minister Professor Dr. Anek Lautamatat just established the Toucher Academy that involved with the social science as well. So the second strategy involved with the social science as well. ครับอาจารย์ครับ
Thank you so much, Kap. For further question, can they email you after the meeting? Or
Yes,
Dr.
yes.
Sudat? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yep.
Dr. Kit, can I have one question with Ajahn Pongsakorn?
ครับ
Sure.
Ajahn Pongsakorn, I noticed that you mentioned about T cells
Yep,
นะ
ค
คะ
รับ
Thailand อะไร excellent
excellent of the life science
Yeah.
Center of Excellence in Life Science ครับสรชครับอาจารย์ครับ
ภาษาไทยเรา
ศูนย์ความเป็นเลิศทางชีววิทยาศาสตร์
ม
TSRI
หาชนนะคะ
ครับอาจารย์
so how they involve with your in your presentation I mean in terms of budgeting support or knowledge how to transfer the knowledge something like that.
So I go back to my slide again. So you can see that อาจารย์เห็นสไลด์ใช่ไหมครับ
เห็น T cell 2 สไลด์เลยค่ะ
นี่ครับอาจารย์ครับครับผมครับ so just the example of the involvement of the T cell according to Professor Sukanya, you can see that a lot of pain point of the previous experience in the biomedical science, so they it's very difficult for engagement of the private sector to invest the money into their project. So the T cell will involve with the engagement of the private sector, not at the end of the project, but in the late stage of the project after the clinical trial or the clinical study has been complete, or some clinical study if the implementation of that policy, that is the engagement of the T cell as well. So the T cell will be a granting agency as well ครับอาจารย์ครับครับตอบเลยครับก็เป็น granting ครับอาจารย์ครับ
เป็น granting ก็เลยสงสัยว่าเขามีเงินเยอะขนาดนั้นไหมคะคือ
ก็ได้สักประมาณ3 ถึง 400 ล้านอันนี้ก็แบบ off record นะครับอาจารย์ครับก็มากขึ้นนะครับแล้วก็another channel of the budgeting, you can see this is the กองทุนบวบน. Normally the Gongtun Bovonor that we get the approval from the Parliament or the Kamatikan is about 20,000 Thai baht per million Thai baht per year. But there's a lot of the money from the private sector as well. So if we concern about the market driven or the demand driven research, so not only the Gongtun Bovonor, but we can use the budget from the government to engage with the private sector. That is the goal of the national strategy ครับอาจารย์ครับ
ค่ะก็okay, thank you very much ขอบคุณค่ะ
Thank you so much, Professor Pongsakorn. I think we may have quite a few chance for getting some support from the granting agency. All right. I think we may have more questions, but because of time limited, ครับอาจารย์ขอบคุณนะครับ we may need to move to another section. And with this occasion, I would like to we would like to give Professor Pongsakorn a certificate of talk, and then I email you too. And the next topic is will be given by Dr. Taro SONOBE. Dr. Kampanat from JAAT will introduce Dr. SONOBE, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Kittisak. So I hope you all can hear me well. So up until now, we heard quite a lot about so the experience of doing international research collaboration from Professor Takahashi, and also, well, the granting opportunities that we can find in Thailand from Professor Pongsakorn. So from now on, we will see another we'll get another important information from the third talk, which will be our last talk today, how to spice up a proposal for international collaboration grant with STI Coordinator. This will be given by Dr. Taro SONOBE, and he's a research administrator at Kyoto University Research Administration Okura office in Kyoto University, where he has been working since 2007. He received his PhD in energy technology from the Joint Graduate School of Energy and Environment, or JGC, King Mongkut's University of Technology Thonburi, or KMUTT, in 2007. So at Kura office in Kyoto University, he has developed various research development programs, or RDP, to strengthen the research activities as well as support researchers at Kyoto University. Recently, he has jointly initiated the project of series of online study group meetings on Science, Technology and Innovation Coordinators, or STI Coordinator in Japan and ASEAN towards Grand Challenge, which was officially endorsed by ASEAN Committee of Science, Technology and Innovation, or COSTI. And I believe he'll be sharing these insights from this project with us today. So Dr. SONOBE, so if you are ready, please start your talk. Thank you very much.
Okay. Sawadee krap. Can you hear us? Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, very well.
Sawadee krap. ขอบคุณมากครับ Kampanato-san, for your very kind, very detailed introduction for me. So, ยินดีที่ได้รู้จักครับ ผมชื่อ Taro ครับ Thank you very much. So I would like to share my screen here now. Okay. Let me here. Okay. Okay, can you see my screen? Okay.
Yes, clearly. Yep.
Okay, thank you very much. So at first, I'd like to express my sincere appreciation to all committee of JATs and Kampanato-san. Thank you very much. And JSPS Bangkok and also NRCT to give me a very special opportunity today. Actually, I just came back to Thailand from Japan day before yesterday for short periods. And then I'm now speaking from Thailand now, Bangkok. So actually, Thailand is a very special country for Kyoto universities and also for me. For me, Thailand was the first foreign countries I visited more than 20 years ago, and the longest foreign country I have lived in. I also introduced by Kampanato-san. study my PhD in energy technologies in Thailand under support by Thai government's TRF, and having also working at the Kyoto University ASEAN Center in Bangkok too. So actually, I'm not much so senior, looks like, but based on my tiny experience, I'd like to talk about how to spice up a proposal for international collaboration grant with STI coordinators. So this is outline of my presentations. So I'd like to talk about 4 items for how to spice up with science, technology, and innovation STI coordinators. At first, we need a well-cultivated STI coordinators. So what is STI coordinators? And how is the landscape of ecosystem with STI coordinators? And second, a spice for international or collaborative grants. The third, probably we need something paradigm shift from ordinary flow value to the stock values. And the fourth, I would like to share some good practice from 50 years continuing collaboration between Thailand and Japan in the field of chemical engineering. So as you may all know about here, so well-cultivated STI coordinator requires in our global societies. We are facing very, very complicated and multi-faced global issues such as climate change or energy security and infection disease such as the coronavirus. Toward universal goal of humanity on this planet, we need to produce a good collaborative research projects, robust STI policies such as the BCG economy policy, industrial innovations, and social contribution to tackle with these grand challenges. To do so, we need to establish a well-balanced ecosystem of STI in order to balance the ecosystem. We need to have good research management and administration as well as coordination. Therefore, we need to nurture human resources, so-called as STI coordinator. So what this slide shows the contrasting image of extension of the capacity for scientists and STI coordinators. Scientists normally, as Professor Takahashi sensei introduced about the T-shapes and the other things that scientists normally develop their capacity to deeper and deeper direction based on their academic discipline. On the other hand, STI coordinator, like the T-shapes researchers, try to grow their capacity with wider perspectives in both of practical and academic discipline. I'd like to also explain the role of STI coordinator among scientists with a very simple wave synthesis theory. There are two sharp and isolated waves, A and B, representing for scientist A and scientist B. There was no interactions, no cooperation, or no synergies. When we apply wide wave C, representing STI coordinators, among two sharp waves, we can obtain a synthesized waves as a result of interactions, a cooperation, and a synergy. This is a simple image of role of STI coordinators among the scientists. The role of STI coordinators is simply bridging and coordination among different sectors, such as academia, governments, industry, and local communities to initiate new collaborative projects. Then STI coordinator sometimes provides a good research administration from pre-award and post-award towards overall goal of the projects. As Kampanato-san mentioned about our joint initiatives endorsed by the ASEAN COSTIs, we have initiated the joint project on STI coordinator in Japan and ASEAN toward grand challenge as a form of online series of study group meetings endorsed by ASEAN COSTI. We organize a series of online study group meetings to generate the awareness of research administration and the needs for professional STI coordinator in ASEAN. Our initiatives have been very highly welcomed and recognized by leaders in STI policy from ASEAN 10 member states. We have also contributed to cross-peer collaborations among ASEAN communities. In the last December, we organized a symposium entitled as a co-creative mechanisms in STI coordination between Japan and ASEAN, spice up our scientific project with STI Coordinator. This symposium was supported by Thai government, MESI Thailand, and ASEAN COSTI, as well as many persons from Thailand. And you can see the many participants looking at Kampanatsu here as well, many young researchers from Thailand as well. Based on the shared vision and recommendation from discussion at the symposium, we have integrated the knowledge to visualize our favorable ecosystem of co-creative mechanism in STI cooperation between ASEAN and Japan, addressing 50-year anniversary between ASEAN and Japan friendship in year 2023, next year. This co-creative mechanism consists of several layers of STI coordination. The bottom brown layer is groundwork of STI coordinators in creating and growing both existing and new resources and platform and forum. Middle layer in greens, researchers, or policymaker, or industrial person bring together their knowledge and STI activity on the stage built by STI coordinators. The top layer is in blue, show our common societal challenge or issue and grand challenge. It is also very important for this ecosystem to nurture STI coordinators as well as young talents in the so-called STI talent pool. Looks like the knowledge hub mentioned by the Dr.Pongsakorn. And then it also needs to stay ready to tackle with emerging challenges. Most importantly, STI coordinator needs strong communication skill to build person-to-person trust and to publicize academic effort. Mutual trust and respect is the heart of STI coordination. So, well-cultivated STI coordinator will play important roles for co-creative mechanism in the STI ecosystem. So now I'm going to talk about the next section. So what's the spice for international collaboration grants? I will show a key essence from the perspectives of research administration. Research administration normally provide support to PIs to grant applications as a pre-awards and the project management supports as post-awards. As the pre-awards, well-cultivated research administrators sometimes become ghostwriters for grant applications on behalf of PI. Actually, I wrote many applications for someone without my name in the proposal by the end. A spice is often hidden in the screening criteria in the funding program. I will show two examples for popular international collaboration grants from JSPS Core to Core program and JSG JICA SATREPS. There are 5 screening criteria for JSPS Core to Core programs, such as scientific and academic merit, fostering young researchers, creating and implementing framework on the Japan side, network building between core institutions, and appropriateness of collaborative research exchange plan. Among 5 criteria, we can find a special spice in the criteria number 4, networking building between core institution in terms of international collaboration grants, such as the hold good promise for the sustained research collaboration, signed cooperative agreements, or the continuous development and multilateral collaboration between the core institution in the future. Second example, from the JST JICA Satellite program, probably some of you know about this program. There are 7 screening criteria, such as scientific technology values, merit for Japan, set up for research in both countries, efficient and appropriate research plan, implementation plan and feasibilities, and alignment with ODA. Here, we can find a special spice as well in set up for research in both countries too. In particular, you can see the yellow highlight parts. The PI in Japan and in the partner country must be clearly designated. Organizational framework for conducting the research in Japan and the partner country must be placed, etc. These are the very important spice for the research proposal, particularly international collaboration. Let's look at the relevant section in application form of JST JICA SATREPs. For example, at section 7, applicants must write research histories and results to date, list of articles, books, including prior collaborative publication, status of preparation with research institution in the partner countries, such as existing agreements, MOU between PIs. So what I want to imply from this fact is that a spice for international collaborative grants are, for example, history of network and collaboration of PIs, past collaborative research and exchange of the PIs, and written official evidence, such as agreements of MOU, which need a prior investments in terms of not only money, but also huge time. Apparently, these things are what ghostwriter cannot create and prepare on behalf of PI in a short period. So this is not special matters actually at all, but I sometimes meet a person who may be lack of this kind of a sense, sometimes just looking for only some kind of the money. So for well-balanced ecosystem in Thailand and Japan, we need, I think, need something like the paradigm shift, more paying attention to the stock value rather than the flow values. What are the flow values and what are the stock values? Here I show a simple system of flow and stocks in our real society. We recognize, for example, income and expenses, GDPs are flow values. And these are rather easy to measure and quantify. And tangible and short-term span, which has this kind of the characters. On the other hand, capital, the resources, or a debt, or national wealth, or are recognized as the stock values. These are difficult to measure and quantify and long-term span as compared with flow value. Amount of the stock depends also on the ratio of input and output in the flow, as well as its capacity. So as I show at the first part of my talks, we can apply this simple flow and stock and capacity system in ecosystem or each platforms, even individuals such as STI Coordinator or PI, etc. It is also better to consider them as open and continuous reaction system rather than a closed and batch type reaction system. However, it is not simple to scientifically analyze this system. We can break down into elements from ecosystem as a whole to each platform and each individual to evaluate the system somehow. However, it is really difficult to simply add up, and it is a very complex system indeed. So if we simply add up from the bottom, it may mislead the reality of humanity in the ecosystem of STI. So please imagine, for example, only one person among 20 or 30 members, even more than that, can make an extremely negative impact for all systems. Or sometimes real coordinators are not being aware by other one because they are being behind the black curtain sometimes or under the stage. So let's see the case of international collaboration and the ecosystem. In flow and stock, for example, most of us know research grants, amount of the budget, and money are important as a flow value. But now, probably, we need to think more its stock value in terms of credit, trust, commitment to the society, and responsibility. Mobility of a student and a researcher are also sometimes considered as a need to consider as a networks, person-to-person connections, past collaboration. Supervision and coaching and mentorship also need to be considered as a mutual trust and respect and filial piety. Information and publication need to be also considered as a knowledge accumulations, experience, and wisdom as a stock value. I hope some of you could catch my points. Yes, these are the spies for international collaborations, grants, and well-cultivated STI coordinators somehow can understand this value well and spice up your research proposal with PI. So let me show a good practice from 50 years collaboration between Japan and ASEAN, Japan and Thailand in the field of chemical engineering. Based on my real experience, many thanks to my Thai classmates from Ratchamonkwan University of Technology, Tantilipikorn during our master course students at Kyoto University more than 24 years ago somehow. I've been able to join the special, let's say, in this figure, academic family, so-called, between Japan and Thailand in the field of chemical engineering. This is a chart of my history to grow my interest of academic and scientific discipline and professional career development from master students at Kyoto University to current STI coordinator or research administrators at Kyoto University for 20 years. Thanks of atmosphere of academic freedom of Kyoto University and highly motivated student from Thailand, I could challenge to study abroad for my PhD in Thailand with a special mission of Kyoto University 21 COE program on establishment of environmental friendly energy system in Asia, which were financially supported by JSPS actually. My Thai classmates at Graduate School of Energy Science introduced me his Thai senior who just graduated from Graduate School of Energy Engineering at Kyoto University. And he just joined the new Joint Graduate School of Energy and Environment at KMUTT. Before going to Thailand, I also visited his former supervisor at Kyoto University to have advice. I still remember Professor Koichi Miura asked me at that time to support Achan Nakon to set up his new laboratory at JGC. Through discussion with Achanakon, we select my PhD topics on a study of the pyrolysis characteristics of Thai lignites and agricultural residue for effective energy conversions. This was totally new topics for me, and there were a lot of unknown factors, but I felt so exciting to explore and challenge when I was younger than now. In addition to the PhD studies, I obtained a special mission from Kyoto University to establish a 21 COE program on environmental friendly energy system as a COE research coordinator. I could gain a lot of valuable opportunity and experience to go and cultivate a network and person-to-person connection and forming several academic collaborative platforms. Through my PhD program for 3 years in Thailand, we could successfully publish 3 international journal papers with co-authorship of supervisor in Thailand. And I got a PhD degree from JDC-KMUTTs. So I heard that I'm somehow still only one Japanese student who received a PhD degree from JDC-KMUTT. So I'm looking forward to another Japanese student to receive the next PhD degree from there. Through 21 COE programs, we could establish Asian Academic Collaborative Platform of Sustainable Energy and Environmental Forum, so-called C Forum, since 2006. This is a memorial signed document to commit on new energy initiatives under the C Forum. For beyond my expectation, actually, our 3 international journals have been still receiving very high citation impact, including the top 1% journal too. And these 3 papers also become the foundation for continuing the academic collaboration. My junior at the JGC and Achanakon and Professor Miura team also utilize our paper to develop the clean coal technology and efficient biomass conversion technology. Through C Forum activity, we annually organize international conference as well as meetings since 2006 to 2012 in ASEAN region, and initiates new concept of network of excellence, NOEs, including solar energy, biofuel, and clean coal technology. Through this coordination, we could obtain a special coordination grant for promoting a research collaboration of Japan and Thailand towards low carbon emission energy system in Thailand between 2009 and 2011. I also wrote and prepared most part of the proposal at that time. Through promoting the collaboration amongst different disciplines under such JST grants with common goal of low carbon societies. One of the team of clean coal technology led by Professor Miura and Achanakon could receive the JST JICA SATOREPS on development of clean and efficient utilization of low rank of coal and biomass by solvent treatment from year 2013 to 2019. I also joined this project as a research administrator. Through SATOREPS projects, a young researcher could build a new collaboration and a network between Thailand and Japan. And now, Dr. Ashida and Dr. Nakon are leading the one international collaboration under our internal grant, so-called SPIRITS program. It is also good to announce the JSPS Bangkok, Chulalongkorn University and Kyoto University ASEAN Center will jointly organize a webinar on seeking for new way of international research collaboration after Corona pandemic based on chemical engineering and related field on March 2022, next week, as shown here. Okay, so for young researchers, as I could obtain an opportunity to join a special family in the field of chemical engineering, Dr. Ashida at Kyoto University is looking for two highly motivated Thai young researchers to join his international collaborative project as postdoc in the field of new electrification technologies of biomass, as well as solvent treatment method of biomass conversion. So please contact me if anyone are really interested in joining this project as soon as possible before the 2 tickets are sold out. So finally, I'd like to summarize my talk on how to spice up a proposal for international collaborative grant with STI Coordinator. Likewise, the global partners, please ensure that even 1 or 2 well-cultivated STI coordinator in the STI ecosystem around you. A well-cultivated STI coordinator are aware of the importance of stock overflow in the long term around you, including the importance of alumni association. A good STI coordinator is not like a selfish and it's willing to do something for others. That actually I learn a lot from Thai tradition and cultures. And I have been always helped by the Thai friends and colleagues in this regard. So such STI coordinator can spice up an international collaborative research proposal around you. Even that coordination are not scientifically visible and tangible. So thank you very much for your kind attention. If you are interested in the STI coordination, together with my colleague Saito-san, we summarize this activity into this report. You can see the detail from this slide. Thank you very much, and Kapanato-san, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sonobe-san, for your very informative talk. So I believe, well, we are a little bit behind the schedule, but I would like to welcome maybe 1 or 2 questions before we close our session. So are there any questions to Dr. Sonobe? Well, if not, actually, I will start. So I see that, well, actually, STI coordination, or well, by STI coordinator is a very good concept. But I also see some issues. For example, the STI coordinator may become like the ghostwriter, or like will sometimes go behind the curtain without recognition. And I think that's not really healthy. So how do you think we can prevent this from happening?
Yes. Thank you very much, Campanato-san. This is a really crucial issue. But I think there, as I mentioned about the need, the paradigm shift from the flow value to the stock values. I think that these kind of the activity contributions, it counts as a stock value. So I think the society need to think about the more importance of the stock values, person-to-person connection, commitment to the society in the long term. If the person or society recognize this kind of the value, I think they automatically our activity can be somehow visualized. But personally, I'm not much like such kind of. I like the behind the curtains. Thank you very much.
Okay, I see. Well, actually, that's a very good answer. I mean, so if we all recognize more the stock value, then we'll automatically we'll be able to recognize all these things. Are there any other questions?
I think they may have some chat. Can you have a look on the chat?
Yeah, on the chat from Professor Takahashi, we got the comment that, well, actually it's a question, right? Do you want to say that by yourself, Professor Takahashi?
Okay, Dr. Sonobe, thank you very much for the inspiring talk. I think the explanation that you gave about the waves of 2 scientists converging when an STI coordinator comes in between to connect the 2, I think that's, yeah, it was an eye-opener. It was a good way to understand what STI coordinators do. My question is, how do we find them? You mentioned about the STI talent pool. Where do we find it? Because to me, it's a new concept. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Professor Takahashi. I think this concept now actually very brand new concept, and developed by the collaboration between ASEAN and Japan. So I think the ASEAN Committee of Science and Technology, including Kapanato-san, initiates this kind of idea together. So we would like to foster this kind of ideas, and we would like to generate awareness of this kind of importance in the wider society.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much.
May I have one question?
Sure, Professor Suganya, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Atan Kam. Dr. Taro, since I come from social science and humanities, so can I do something about what you call STI, to relate to my partners, my colleagues back there in Khon Kaen University, in terms of also, humanities and social science, quite different. Can you suggest me if, it's cross like a collaboration research project? It might okay, but I'm not sure because it's look really, really pure, in terms of technology and science, something like that. So I want to have your response. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ajahn Kopumagap. Yes, I think the humanity and the social science, I think let's say, most important for the STI. So I think that through our, how do you say, series of study group meetings together with the Campanato-san and many colleagues, I think their moralities or cultures or understanding the diversity of the custom or region should be the base for developing the appropriate STI activity for the society. So I think this kind of the balance between the natural science and the social science or integrated values among the social scientists, natural science are really important.
Yeah.
So we are not much distinguished between the social science and natural science. Yes.
So I allow me to distribute this your presentation to my associate dean for research. Okay, and
yes.
She might distribute to someone interested in this. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so Sonobe-san, please share your presentation slides with us. And well, actually, Sukanya Sensei, I would like to add one thing based on my experience regarding the role of social science. Actually, on my own work in deploying, exploring the problem with the renewable energy power plant, we actually see that we need the good, we need the help from social science in seeing what are the main issues that we may face during that deployment. So actually, I invited one of my colleague from social science to work with me on the project. So I see that, well, we will have more integration in the future, and it's really important for people from pure science and also engineering and social science to work together. And also we see on the chat from Professor Pongsakorn about TACHA, which is actually the new organization by our minister. So you'll be able to see how we can get the support for social scientists. Okay, so well, I think we had a very fruitful discussion during the Q&A session, and we are already 15 minutes behind the schedule. So before closing the session, so actually we also have certificate of appreciation for Dr. Sonobe. So Kitsak Sensei, can you share that? Okay, thank you very much. So we really will appreciate your presentation. Thank you very much. So I would like to hand the floor back to Kitsak Sensei. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kampanat. And I think times fly, so we are reached at the end of the meeting, and I would like, but I think we have a good discussion and idea how to make how to conduct the international research collaboration. So finally, I would like to thank you, JAAT, JSPS Bangkok office, NRCT, distinguished speakers, and also all participants for a good, very nice discussion for today. And I think it's time to end the meeting. Thank you so much. And I hope that JAT and JSPS and NRCT will make more contribution to our society in the future. Thank you so much and have a good weekend.
Group photo. Thank you very much. ขอบคุณครับอาจารย์ครับ
Group photo.
Already. We already have the group photo at the beginning. Okay, so next I think will be the second part of today's symposium. It will be JAT